Today I'm going to be making a 70s tote bag with no pattern, but almost all vintage materials that I have thrifted within the last year or so. Hello and welcome. I'm Lindsay Crane and these are my retro craft dreams. Happy August! It's still August, right? Okay, yeah, I've been falling way behind on all of my videos, but I really wanted to make this for August because I am making a sunflower themed project and August just screams sunflowers to me. I do apologize if you can hear the whatever it is running in the background. Neighbors are doing their lawns constantly. So my inspiration for this project was this fabric. This is a pre-quilted, who knows what, probably cotton poly blend, I don't know. Color palette clearly screams 70s. Possibly even 60s, but I'm gonna go with 70s because of the pre-quilted part. And it is only this big. It's not very big. It's got a backing, it's got batting, it is pre-quilted, was sold off the roll like this. It took me a while to figure out what to make with it, until I finally realized it would make a perfect tote bag or project bag, who knows. So in addition to this wonderful, ugly, awful, beautiful 70s sunflower print, I also needed a lining. If you do want to use a pre-quilted fabric, you probably could just use it as is and not even need a lining, but I feel like this is not going to be very durable. It took a while to find a good lining fabric, but eventually that same thrift store had this. Still on the bolt. Now this is not vintage, this is from 2003. It is dated on the end. It's called Plum Posh from Posh Linings, and it is flammable. So we're gonna use that for the lining. It might not be vintage, but the 100% polyester, totally in line with a 70s bag. And I think it'll be a nice contrast. I'm also gonna take a look at my quilt binding stash. I don't have a whole lot, but hopefully something in there will coordinate with this decently enough. I will show you how I plan to use that later. Also, at the same store where I thrifted these two things, on an entirely different trip, I found some vintage purse handles. I'm so stoked about these. I think these are gonna be great. I'm not entirely sure the best way I wanna put these on. I might use the quilt binding to make little tabs, but we're just gonna cross that bridge when we get to it. I thought I had a pattern for purses, but I looked at my database and apparently I never actually bought it. We're just gonna see how this goes because I am not using a pattern. I kind of have an idea in my head. The only bags that I have ever made are the patchwork purses that I made for a previous video. Let's do some calculating and see how big this can be. Shall we make a bag? Let's make a bag. So what's my plan here? My plan is to have maybe a 3-inch bottom. So I'm going to wrap the fabric this way. So this will be the top. And then the bottom will be all in one piece. And then the leftover is what I need to get the side panels out of. So the first thing I wanna do is just measure it. Are you for real right now? Here is something to look for, be on the lookout for if you're using pre-quilted fabric, especially vintage, is to check for places where the batting has either come out or if this had been creased, like there could be creases that the batting has split apart on that might not be so usable. So do check for that so that you can make sure you're using the good spots of your pre-quilted fabric. So this is roughly 42 inches. So what's 42 minus 4 divided by 3? I need to square this up before I go any further. So let me go get my cutting mat. I have folded it so that the edges, so that the sides line up. They're a little off grain, which is not ideal, but you know, I'm working with a scrap is what I got. So I'm going to line up the folded edge and cut the end square to that so that at least those will be parallel. What was my math? So we're doing 25 inches plus 3, so 28 inches for the body. This does not go to 28. Yeah, 28 here, here, 28 here. I'm gonna cut it there, but before I do that, I'm just gonna double check that this is going to be long enough to fill in those sides. So that is 14 inches. So that should be plenty. Now what I need to do is cut these at 3 inches plus seam allowance this way. So where's my bad corner? First, we're going to line that up there and square it off. So 4 inches. I have cleaned up the edges on this, and so the final dimensions of the main piece is 12.5 by 14 inch doubled, so 28 inches tall. And then the side panels are 4 inches wide by 13 inches. What I'm going to do to line them up is take this middle part, I'm going to measure up 1.5 inches, and that is where the corner will be. I'll find the middle of that, and I'll make sure that goes here. And then the same on the other side for the other corner. And hopefully everything will match up. We're just gonna see how this goes. I have a feeling this is going awry, but I can't tell how or why. Bigger than I wanted. I could wait and get back to the thrift store and see if any more has come in that's a good color and a good width. The only thing that I'm not entirely sure about yet, I'm gonna ponder and problem solve a little bit, is how to handle the top. What I wanted to do is bind the top as well, but then there's just the issue of this, you know, Y seam, basically, this perpendicular intersection where I'm going to have binding that comes just like that. And then I want to come bind around here. So I either will need to fold that all the way to one side, and then it will have to be bound over that way, never being able to open up. Or I might also be able to trim it back and then maybe kind of flatten this binding a little bit like that. That might be best. Then my next issue is how the lining and the handles are going to be attached with the top bound. I am going to top stitch this. I don't have brown. I have this red, which really looks like red next to that. So maybe that's not going to work. I could use white. Yeah, white could be all right. Let's see, what else do I have? Ooh. That's kind of more gold, but yeah, that could work. Let's use this one. Is this the best way to do this? I don't know. I've never done this. You are allowed to make things up as you go. Always cross my fingers before I do a new thing. These corners are gonna look like rubbish. That's what's gonna happen. Well, that was a mess. Holy cow, y'all. I went to start sewing and I couldn't find my bobbin thread. And then I looked and my bobbin was empty. But I checked my seam and it was complete. This is what was left that I found just sitting there on my table. I had one bobbin chicken and I didn't even know I was playing. You can see, besides the fact that I can't sew straight line yet, that I left the corners unattached for now, and then I'll be able to manipulate it better when I go around the corners. It's not going to be perfect. That's just the way it's going to go. In fact, I can't even get the pin in it. definitely could use a walking foot, which I don't have, but you know, it could be worse. I didn't know that was happening though, and I totally missed it there. So I think at least here I can come back in and tack it down by hand probably. Wow, yeah, that corner got really messed up. I am not redoing it all. So I'm gonna pin the other side down and do that one, and then we can work on the lining. I did go ahead and just stitch over this little corner to tack it down. I tried to be very precise, and now I just need to tie and bury those threads, but I've only got that little bit of overlap, so I don't think it'll really be too obvious. It is very shoddy, but you know what? I think that's in line with the 70s. Now I need to clean up the top edge and probably press these open, and I'm gonna put that binding on here. I think what I need to do is start the lining now. I gotta quit making things up as I go. I'm just going to bind the lining and the top together and put tabs for the handles just over that. I will just use this if I have enough left over. While my bag didn't turn out quite as neat and tidy as I would have hoped, I really see the benefit of maybe finding a walking foot for my machine, but you know, it's serviceable, it's cute. I do also feel like this binding at 1 inch was just way too wide. If I had a 1/2 inch binding and didn't have to sew into the corners quite so far, I probably would have gotten around them a little bit better. So this might be one of those projects that goes into my attempt again someday pile. And the beauty of constructing it this way is that I still have a very large piece of uncut fabric in the main body of this bag. Anybody looking at this bag is probably going to be way too distracted by the print to notice the sewing flaws, so you know, it's fine. Anyway, I hope this inspired you and gave you an idea of something to do with a scrap of pre-quilted fabric. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Stay groovy, sunshine.